are moments in life when a single note can change everything. A voice can lift a room or break a heart. Tonight, you'll watch a story about a small town singer who refuses to be silenced, a web of jealousy that stretches from backstage to the skies, and the kind of courage that surprises even those who think they know the whole song. Stay with US. There's a betrayal you won't see coming, a finale that will leave the crowd breathless, and a twist that turns the competition into a life and death race. If you love music, high drama, or a hero who keeps getting back up, this is for you. Keep your seat. The best is yet to come. Saturday, November 1st, 2025, episode 184. The story opens in a crowded rehearsal room where lights hum and whispered rivalries crackle like static. Siddharth, steady, protective, quietly fierce, steps between Meghla and a ring of mockery. Neha and her friends press the joke further, but Siddharth's stand is simple, a hand on Meghla's shoulder, a clear voice that says enough. The camera lingers on Meghla's face, a mix of relief and something harder. The knowledge that standing up today won't stop the trouble tomorrow. Later, in a glittering studio, the host takes the stage, introductions ripple across faces, and the judges take their seats. The quarterfinals are announced with flashing lights and the practice cheer of a show that knows how to raise hopes and then test them. Behind the applause, alliances form and resentments tighten. This competition has teeth. Sunday, November 2nd, 2025, episode 185. Opening night of the quarterfinals is a pressure cooker. Performers give everything they have under unforgiving lights. Practice phrases, breaths timed between heartbeats, and songs that suddenly feel like confessions. Chandon waits in the wings, fingers clenched, eyes on the door through which Meghla must pass. The question that hangs in the air is simple and enormous. Will she make it through? As each contestant finishes and the judges tally the invisible score of charisma and control, Chandon's anxiety becomes a stand-in for the whole town's hope. This is the stretch where dreams are measured not only by talent, but by who gets to keep singing when the music dies down. Monday, November 3rd, 2025, episode 186. Good news and danger arrive together. Meghla earns her place in the semifinals, a triumph cheered by friends and family. But the victory only sharpens Neha's fury. She vows in private that Meghla will not walk away with the crown. The next scene darkens at a quiet table where Neha and her clique press Joy with a terrible suggestion: spike Meghla's drink and ruin her voice before the next performance. The camera does not linger on the cruelty for shock's sake. It examines the subtle logistics of meanness, the way a whispered plan can travel like poison. Joy's hesitation is palpable. Loyalty pulls one way, fear another. The plan is set in place, and the stakes shift from musical notes to bodily betrayal. Tuesday, November 4th, 2025, episode 187. Ranbir, a friend with instincts honed by worry, confesses a troubling dream to Meghla, a premonition that sounds more like intuition. Meghla, ever the steady light, soothes him, but the reprieve is short. Neha, smiling like an angel while moving like a viper, persuades Meghla to drink something she claims will open the voice, an old performer's superstition, repackaged as kindness. Meghla, trusting and focused on her craft, takes the cup. The scene unfolds like slow motion. A clink, a sip, a smile that does not reach the eyes. The audience is left holding its breath. We know the danger, but Meghla does not, and that gap between knowledge and ignorance is where suspense lies. Wednesday, November 5th, 2025, episode 188. Competition night is a crucible. On stage, Guruji recoils at Rajnikant's judges' table, stunned by what he believes is blatant favoritism. The camera captures the micro-expressions of judges who must balance taste with temperament. The scoreboard hides as much as it reveals. Meghla goes on to sing, but her throat, already compromised, betrays her. Notes wobble, breath stutters, the song fragments. Meanwhile, Piyush and Shreya give performances that are polished, confident, and dangerously impressive. Backstage, the contrast is cruel. Meghla's struggle against her own body, others' poise, and the invisible hand of bias. The night ends with murmurs, whispers of unfairness, and the kind of disappointment that sticks. Thursday, November 6th, 2025, episode 189. The judges hand down a harsh verdict. Contestants are asked to perform songs chosen by the judges themselves, a test of versatility and obedience to critique. When a moment arrives, Rajnikant steps forward with a disqualifying call for Meghla. He cites performance standards. Siddharth, watching, sees something else, the strain and the sincerity that Meghla poured into every note. He stands and applauds her effort in a small, human act of defiance. The show moves on, but the camera rests on Meghla's quiet dignity. Disqualified, not defeated. The disqualification feels less like an end and more like another hurdle in a race that keeps changing the finish line. Friday, November 7th, 2025, episode 190. The physical consequences of the sabotage become impossible to ignore. Meghla's throat refuses to cooperate. A hoarseness that was once manageable becomes a wall. Without a voice, she is, for the competition's purposes, unfit, and the rules are cold. Disqualified again, Meghla steps away from the mic with a composure that hides raw disappointment. Later, Ranbir defends her publicly when Zoravar, the stern patriarchal figure, questions whether she will ever keep a promise to stop performing. Ranbir's defense is more than words. It is a vow that her talent and dignity matter regardless of the show's judgment. Saturday, November 8th, 2025, episode 191. Time softens the severity of the decision, but not Meghla's love for singing. Ranbir's encouragement becomes the thread that keeps her tethered to hope. Sing for yourself, he tells her, not for a scoreboard. That quiet advice turns into action when Meghla, unable to perform, chooses to come to the finale as a spectator. The camera captures small things. The way her eyes follow the orchestra, the half smile when a familiar chord strikes a memory. Even in the audience, she is an artist, listening, learning, and refusing to let injury extinguish desire. Sunday, November 9th, 2025, episode 192. The crowd refuses to let her stay sidelined. An impromptu chant, a call that grows louder, brings Meghla back to the stage. The producers agree to let her perform in the finale's second round, but fate complicates everything with duets. Piyush pairs with Neha, while Sachin pairs with Meghla. The juxtaposition is electric. The rival who tried to break her now shares the spotlight. Meghla must find her center and sing not just to win, but to reclaim her voice. The duet with Sachin is a study in vulnerability and trust. Together, they build harmonies that sound like a conversation, and for a moment, the audience forgets the backstage venom. It's a reminder that music can heal what words cannot. Monday, November 10th, 2025, episode 193. Siddharth becomes the anchor once more. He pushes Meghla to dare, to aim beyond the immediate fear and sing like the future depends on it. Under pressure, she finds a depth in her voice that surprises even her. The performance stretches into the kind of climax that reality shows manufacture but rarely earn, sustained, raw, and true. When the final tally is announced, the crowd holds its breath and then release. Meghla is declared the winner of Sangeet Superstar. Confetti will fall and cameras will flash. But the real victory is quieter, the stubborn persistence of a voice that refused to be muted. Tuesday, November 11th, 2025, episode 194. Victory is social currency, and Meghla spends it graciously. She thanks those who stood with her, Siddharth, Ranbir, fans who chanted for her return. She seeks Zoravar's blessings in a moment that should seal acceptance, but he refuses, and his rejection stings like a colder note. Ladue steps in, blunt and honest, telling Zoravar to stop insulting her. It's a messy reconciliation. Real life rarely hands out tidy endings. Still, Meghla's gratitude is genuine. She knows winning a crown isn't the same as winning every heart. Wednesday, November 12th, 2025, episode 195. As celebrations ripple outward, a new anxiety creeps in. Ranbir's scheduled flight abroad looms, and Meghla feels the tug of distance. The idea of someone you love leaving for the other side of the world. In parallel, Udraja begins to weave a different scheme, trying to turn Zoravar against Meghla. Her manipulations are a reminder that jealousy never truly sleeps. It only finds new targets. The tension builds in domestic rooms, over dinner tables, and by the phone, small domestic stakes that will soon collide with much larger ones. Thursday, November 13th, 2025, episode 196. A voice on a radio becomes a siren. Ranbir's flight is hijacked midway, diverted from London to Nepal. The Bajwa family moves from simmering worry to full-blown panic. Air-controlled chatter, flashing news crawls, and frantic calls create a claustrophobic sequence where time feels elastic. The hijackers' motives are chillingly specific. They want Elias released. For viewers, the competition stakes have been swept away by an immediate, brutal reality. Suddenly, the show's lights pale beside the live threat to a life in the sky. Friday, November 14th, 2025, episode 197. Ranbir proves resourceful. He warns the hijackers of a looming engine problem, a technical observation that forces an emergency descent. The plane lands, but safety is not yet secured. Meghla, determined and fearless, disguises herself and boards the flight to help him. It's cinematic but grounded in raw courage. A young woman putting everything on the line to protect someone she cares for. The hijackers up the stakes, demanding Elias's release. The drama here is layered. Bravery against coercion, instinct against desperation. Saturday, November 15th, 2025, episode 198. The situation resolves in a sequence that blends strategy, luck, and desperate teamwork. Meghla helps capture the hijackers, and her action wins her public praise from Ranbir. But safety is complicated. Shortly after the ordeal, an email arrives that changes the tone again. The police are now searching for her. The reasons are unclear, and the camera holds on her face as joy and fear cross at impossible speed. Triumph and danger have become two sides of the same day. The music swells, not the victory march from earlier, but something more ambiguous, an underscore for what comes next. That's the journey so far. From whispered cruelty backstage to thunderous applause on the finale stage, and from the bright lights of victory to the dark uncertainty of a plane's emergency landing. Meghla's story is not tidy. It's loud, messy, and human. If you felt your heart race, if you cheered when she reclaimed the mic, or if you're still wondering why the police are looking for her, you're not alone. Hit like if you were moved, subscribe to follow every twist. We've only just hit the high notes, and drop a comment telling us which moment shocked you most. Share this with a friend who loves a good comeback. And stay tuned, because the next chapter promises more music, more secrets, and more choices that will test every character in ways they never imagined.